and speak out.
It is a very good evening to you, Zimbabwe. My name is Farai Mwakutuya, coming to you live on ZiFM Stereo, my station, your station. This is the platform on a Wednesday evening. We do apologize for the slight delay in kicking off this program, but I certainly thank those who've stuck with us, and I can assure you that it will be worth the wait. The program that many people have been wanting to follow, the person that many people have been wanting to hear from. We had invited him and hoped to speak to him a couple of weeks ago, but we couldn't. But now we have brought him into the studio and we'll be speaking to him. But before I get to introducing my guest, just a quick reminder that if you want to let anyone else who is not in Zimbabwe, not near a radio set, that they can listen to this program live, if they just go to the ZiFM website, zfmstereo.co.zw, they can follow this program live and listen to us live also via the TuneIn radio app. You can go to that to that app as well to listen to this program. Now, just to get into the meat of the matter of this program, as we all know, there have been recalls of members of parliament of the opposition, and that has led to a situation where there's been a declaration, a proclamation of by-elections to take place on December 9th. These recalls have been done by a member of the CCC who claims that they are the CCC Interim Secretary General. They've written a letter to Parliament recalling these members of Parliament. They have also now said that they will be responsible for which candidates will be fielded, amongst others. But we want to get all the details straight from the horse's mouth, and that's why we've invited in the studio today our guest, the person who claims to be CCC Interim Secretary General, Sengezo Tshabangu. Sir, great to have you on the program. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Before we get into where we are now, I think the question that many people, or what we've heard certainly after your name surfaced, after you took the action you did to write this letter to Parliament recalling members of Parliament, people have said that you are an imposter, that you are not a member of CCC. So on what basis do you claim to be the Interim Secretary General? You are not known in this party.
Thank you very much for that intelligent question. Good evening, listeners across the globe. My name is Sengezo Tshabangu. I'm a family man. Blessed with 3 boys and a girl. Mm-hmm. I am a product of labor movement. Mm-hmm. I joined the politics perhaps when I was born, because my mother, my father, they were political, conscious, political activists. Well, my career as a politician started from labor. We are the leadership that when MDC was formed in 1999, when Morgan Tsvangirai, the late Gibson Spanda, moved to form a political party, we were the guys that replaced them in the labor movement. So I held various positions in the labor movement. I was the president for the Zimbabwe Cattle Workers Union, which is the oldest union in Zimbabwe in the labor movement. I also sat in the General Council, which is the supreme decision-making body. I held various various positions in committees in the labor movement. I was also the board chairperson of CIPF, which is catering a pension fund. Political, I started as a youth secretary, district. I was promoted to the youth chairperson after the split, provincial chairperson after the split in 2005. I then from there in 2008, I was elected as the provincial chairperson of the MDCT. That was led by Morgan Tsvangirai. May his soul rest in peace. There is something that people will never tell you about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know this animal called MDC Alliance.
Yes.
I literally incubated the MDC Alliance. A reference point is Timber. If he is to correct the narrative and the agenda of who I am, he will tell you. Comrade Tendai Biti will tell you. Professor Welshman Ncube will assert to that, that I incubated the MDC Alliance. I'm the one who brought Welshman Ncube when there was a split in 2005. I brought him together with Morgan Tsvangirai and Tendai Biti, who had walked away from the MDC mainstream to form PDP. I was part of him. So I was the glue to bring these guys together. And we formed something called MDC Alliance. So I have been into this game, and I have done a lot of things behind the scenes. There are so many initiatives, so many spaces that I have been involved into, even on the national dialogue.
Okay.
Prior, when we formed CCC, there was an initiative. You remember, Mbeki tried to bring MDC Alliance together with ZANU-PF. I had another initiative. If you ask President Chamisa, he will tell you that I was the one who initiated another line of communication in our quest to have a national dialogue which was going to respond to the electoral reforms, a national dialogue that was going to respond to the post-election, so that we don't have a situation that we find ourselves in.
Now.
In brief, that's me. Let me come to CCC.
Yes, that's the question I was going to ask. That you've given me a very good background in terms of how you are, but how do you claim to be the interim? On what basis?
Okay.
To be the interim Secretary General.
I was, CCC was formed, is a seat of MDC Alliance. I was in that meeting that gave birth to the CCC. I was appointed national executive member of the MDC Alliance. So I sat in that meeting that gave birth to the CCC. So I have been an interim national executive member of the CCC. Now, when it comes to my position, the matter is in court. I have been challenged. That authority has been challenged. So let's respect the court. But surface to that, the process that elected President National Chamisa to be the presidential candidate, the process that appointed President Chamisa to be the interim Secretary General, to be the interim president of the movement, is the same process in which I was appointed as the interim Secretary General. But
why didn't we hear about this?
This is before the court. But I just wanted to give you the just a tip in the iceberg.
Okay,
but
so
I can't really divulge any further than
but
that.
what you are saying is that there was a process.
There was a process.
People, and by process I assume that members voted to say, this is who we want to be our president, this is who we want to be our presidential candidate, this is who we want to be our SG.
I'm not going to define the process. The process can be through an election and the process could be through an appointment.
But how was it done? Since you were in that meeting, so how was it done?
But I can't divulge because I can't. It's in the court. So it's only tomorrow. Let's wait, and maybe I come back here on Friday if the judgment is out, or I come back next week if the judgment is out. Then I will tell you.
Okay. Yeah. So that issue, as you said, being challenged before the court. So let's leave it for now. Let's now come to the action that you took. Why are you doing this? Surely this is destabilizing. These MPs have just won these seats, and now you're recalling them. Is that not politically the worst thing to do in terms of timing?
There's no thing like timing in politics. At death, one can be struck by a car, and then that person can't really perform his or her duties. It's death. So it causes a by-election. So if a member of the party ceases to be a member, then that provokes the section 129 subsection 1K.
But these are not natural causes. This is an action that you have done.
Absolutely.
Why?
I'm giving you an example. It wasn't just an example.
Okay.
That the timing, my theory there was on timing.
Okay.
So there's no timing at all in politics. What I'm trying to put across is that these members ceased to be the members of CCC.
At your instigation.
Exactly. And if they cease to be the members of CCC, tomorrow if a member ceases to be a member of CCC, I have got the right, vested, the powers that are vested on me from deriving them from the Constitution, I have got the right to withdraw that member because it does not serve our interests anymore. So, but again, that matter is being challenged in court. So I don't think we can debate it. But I'm just putting on a simple terms that they ceased to be the members of the party. So therefore, whatever they violated, there was a due process, but they ceased to be the members of the party. And we have to invoke Section 129, Section 1.
What message do you think that sends to the people who voted for them? Because they had your supporters who voted for them and put them in office. What message does it send to them when you remove the people that they voted for?
Well, it sends a lot of. It sends really a healthy message in the sense that political parties are urged to vote for people who are loyal. Vote for someone whom you know that person is going to carry your interest. That person is going to drive and walk with you in this journey. So if you vote for someone that whom you don't know, whom you don't even know the history, then these are the problems. Because people, when they get into power, power corrupts. They get corrupted and they forget where they came from. So that is the kind of the situation that we find ourselves in.
Do you not think, though, it should be the choice of the people who voted to say, because I voted for him, when I then discover, as you say, that perhaps they are not loyal, to then say, okay, you know what, let's now recall them. Why you've barely given them an opportunity to show their true colors, as you say. They have not even started their mandate. Why recall them at this juncture? Or why not block them? Why were they allowed to participate? Why not stop it at that point?
I think this is what we're doing. We are just doing the cleanup in the sense that are these people loyal? Are these people, do we still have these people who were put there who don't have the mandate? Do we still have these people who were really came into this position through a backdoor, through corrupt activities? This is what we're actually trying to investigate. But look, our national constitution is very clear. Voters, members of the society, they can remove a member of parliament through a petition. So it's entirely up to them. That's another process. But we are elected because they were elected not through the citizens, but they were elected through an organ, through an organization which is CCC. So, and the CCC is it's an organization which has got office bearers, and then we have got an obligation that if a member goes astray, then we take an action. And we took the action
unilaterally, or by consulting
it was
structures.
A
was the collective with who? Who else was? Which collective was
I
part
don't
of the
run
decision-making?
an organization on my own. I don't think if that was the case, honestly, the parliament will have really recognized me. I think the parliament has got a history, this institution have got a history, that these are the officials of the organization that we represent. I cannot come from the moon and say I represent an organization and then the Speaker of Parliament accept me. So there is a proof beyond any reasonable doubt that I am the Secretary General on interim basis. Inasmuch President Chamisa, who has ever questioned President Chamisa's authority,
Indeed.
who has ever questioned President Chamisa's statue, capabilities, why are they questioning me now?
That's fine. And as you said, that issue is before the courts. My question now is, who was the collective that decided the recalls? Beyond yourself, who else was part of that decision-making process?
The leadership. But I'm saying
Who are they?
We are discussing, because these are some of the questions.
Was it the president? Was the president part of it?
My brother, let's respect the process which is underway. Let's not really preempt. Let's not make ourselves as the judge, lawyers, and the judiciary. We have got an independent judiciary system. It's one of the best judiciary system that this in the Southern Africa. So I have got no doubt at the back of my mind that they will deliver a judgment that is credible, a judgment that is nobody can contest it because it's based on merits, it's based on facts. So I have never doubted this judiciary system since independence. Because they have delivered. We are where we are because of this legislative arm. We are where we are because of this judiciary, which is the arm of there are three arms of the state: is the judiciary, the executive, and parliament. So this arm is very critical. If
Indeed.
it wasn't functioning, I don't think there would be an order, a constitutional order in this country.
Indeed.
So let's respect it.
I will come back to the issues of judiciary. And I do not think it would compromise any court process if you just simply said that the collective included this person, and this person.
I was
that's
advised,
my question, to say
I'm not a
who
lawyer.
was part of the collective that
Unfortunately,
decided beyond yourself.
Well, look, I'm not a lawyer, but unfortunately, I was advised by my legal team that that matter is before the court. So I should not dwell much on it. The information that I've given you, I think is enough for now. We can move on to another question. I'm ready.
You've just said that you've never doubted this judicial system. So you've said that your career spans many, many years in the opposition. In those years, we've heard the opposition decry and condemn some of the decisions that have been made by the judiciary. You are still saying, while you were in the opposition, all these years, the judiciary was perfect.
Well, look, there are judgments. There are judgments that may not be positive in the eyes of the public. There are judgments that may be questioned, because questioning a judgment, it also improves the judiciary system, delivery system. So that's natural, and we accept. I think our judiciary system has been criticized constructively. I'm not saying people should not really criticize the judiciary service system. We need constructive criticism. But statements like the judiciary is captured, no, that undermines our systems. That undermines our judiciary systems. Because remember, you may say the judiciary system is captured today, but tomorrow you will need the same services from that judiciary. Like our friends, they have condemned the same judiciary which is going to adjudicate their matter tomorrow, that the judiciary is captured. And they are going to the same judiciary seeking a favorable response. So, look, you need all the time, you need to be clean when you approach these courts. It doesn't matter where you are, but there are reckless statements that cannot be promoted. So I condemn those who have condemned our judiciary service system because they didn't get their favorable response. Look, tomorrow, if I don't get a favorable judgment, I will congratulate them and I will move on. I will really come here and tell you my next step that I'm going to take. So I'm prepared for whichever way it goes. I will take it and respect it and move on. That's what strengthens our systems.
A couple of questions. Let me, this program, Mr. Chabangu, belongs to the listeners. We give them an opportunity to interface with you, to ask you questions, and that is precisely why we do this. Let me read some of the questions that are coming through from our listeners. Thank you so much for getting in touch with us. Let us read these messages. You are just fulfilling the initial objective of the ruling party. The MPs are the same people who were initially subjected to a similar challenge before the elections, and the court granted them their right to participate. Here's another one. Why are you now being a JSC spokesperson, Judicial Service Commission spokesperson? You were asked a simple question: from whence do you derive your authority? Another question. No facts at all, you are a ZANU-PF agent. I want to dwell on that. People, there is these labels that have been thrown at you, that you are a project of the ruling party.
Well,
how do you respond to that?
Well, it's sad because everyone who does not agree, everyone who has got a different opinion, it doesn't matter at what level that person is called a ZANU-PF, that person is labeled, is called a name, is given a tag. So I'm not the first one. Let me give you an example. I'm not the first one to carry this tag. In fact, I'm the foot soldier. I'm the footprint of Joshua Nkomo. I'm the footprint of Dumiso Tabengo. I'm the footprint of Nikita Mangena. I'm the footprint of Herbert Shitepo. The things that I'm raising today, if they were alive, if these people that I've mentioned by their names and many others, they will raise these issues. But coming back to your point, anybody, Joshua Nkomo was given a tag by the late Robert Gabriel Mugabe that he's a terrorist because he differed with then Robert Mugabe administration on how we can wage a war and take over this country from the imperialist. He was called a terrorist. Wait. Thokozani Kupe, an opposition activist in Buera, they wanted to ban her in a hut because she differed with them in terms of constitutionalism. She was the vice president elected by Congress. And then when she challenged them, they said she's a dissident. Welshman Ngube, when he differed with the late Morgan Tsvangirai in 2005, in terms of principle, collective decision-making process, then he was called a CIO. So the same people today who call me a ZANU-PF, I've never been a ZANU-PF. Even if you cut my blood, it will ooze MDC. You cut my blood, it will ooze an opposition. My mother, my father, my family, they have never supported ZANU-PF. In fact, they are the victims of ZANU-PF. I was terrorized, brutalized during my history of political career by the same ZANU-PF. So the same people today who will climb the mountain and say Chabangu is FAZ, Chabangu is ZANU-PF, their fathers, their mothers, they are still in ZANU-PF today.
So why would you, if you suffered, as you say, at the hands of the ruling party, why would you take an action that seems to hand them the initiative, that works into, that seems to serve their interests or strengthens their position? Because you have already won, you have won these seats. You already are present in the opposition has these seats in parliament. Now there's an opportunity to go for another contest where you may or may not win.
Legally, a process which was born through an illegitimate process, it's illegitimate. It doesn't matter. Even if you are a million of people, if you are wrong, you will still remain wrong. It doesn't matter. It's a question of principle. We are building up for 2028. A build up for 2028. We lost we lost the last general election because we shot ourselves on the foot. We didn't prepare. When we formed a CCC, there were 3 key issues in that National Council that we raised. Number 1, when we took that matter to court, we failed to produce the V11s to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that we won the election in 2018. But we went out and condemned that the judiciary is captured. Yet we failed to produce the V11s. And then we walked out from that court. We said, let's prepare for 2023. How do we prepare for 2023? The elections are won and lost on the ballot, on the polling stations. How are they lost? We need a security for the voter, security for the ballot. How do we achieve that? We need to train polling agents, accredited them, deploy them. Wait a minute. And we create structures. These are the fundamental issues that we need that I'm giving you, that we need to unravel.
Exactly. And
right.
let me just, as you talk about them, these fundamental issues, deployment of field agents, age training, structures, that is the core business of a Secretary General. So are you saying that you are the one who failed to do your job? Because that is the job of
I'll come to that.
To organize. That is the job of a Secretary General, isn't it?
I'll come to that.
Yes.
Then we decided that forming this institution, this outfit, we are going to create structures across the country based on polling stations. That never happened. It's a resolution which is there. So today, we are worse off. Even if you look at the national votes, the national voting pattern, it declined from 2018. Why?
Is that then, as I said, you were the Secretary General, does that not fall on you that you failed to do these things, that you failed to prepare, that you failed to, that the vote has declined? Does that not fall on your doorstep to say, because the SG, as I understand it, I need to be educated, you are the organizer.
Precisely.
You are the one who failed. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not the one who failed. We failed.
Who
It
failed?
is the leadership, because we raised these issues. I raised these issues to the leadership.
Who is the leadership?
The leadership, collective leadership, which has got Sikhala is rotting in prison. I'll come to that. President Chamisa is the leadership. Welshman Ngube is the leadership. Tendai Pit is the leadership. Maikore is the leadership. Chibaya is the leadership.
Okay, so let me stop you there.
These are the people that I'm talking about.
Those are the people that you said are the leadership.
Yes.
Does that mean that those are the leaders who approved the recalls?
Absolutely.
President your president, Nelson Chamisa, approved the recalls. Was part of the leadership that approved the recalls.
Why didn't he write an affidavit in court challenging me? Why didn't President Chamisa challenge me and put an affidavit that he doesn't know me in court? But he would go in public and say he doesn't know me. Why didn't he write an affidavit and claim in court of law that I don't know Chabangu? So that's not my baby. So there are things that I cannot reveal here that we do at the back that you guys don't know. I have never challenged President Chamisa, and if this platform is going to push me to challenge him, I'm not going to challenge him. He knows. He knows me. He knows my role. Remember, even in 2008, in 2013, I was his campaign manager when he wanted to be the organizing secretary of the MDC. He won against Mzuri by a huge margin. It was through my work, my sweat.
Indeed. Now, let me ask you, as you said, you failed to prepare, in your own words, as the leadership that includes all those people you mentioned, you failed to prepare for the election adequately because you did not secure the vote and all those things.
Yes.
The question that many people are always asking would then be, and my question is, in the areas that you actually then did win, why are you undoing the success? Why are you opening the door for another party to potentially win those seats? Yet you are saying on one hand, we failed to prepare. But the ground that you have gained, you now want to give, you could potentially give away.
No, I don't think so. Which areas are you talking about? Matabeleland. The recalls were done in Matabeleland, and in Matabeleland, ZANU-PF has struggled to win seats there because that's a protest vote. It doesn't mean that we are popular. The CCC is popular in Matabeleland. No, that's not a correct narrative.
So if
in Matabeleland, that's a protest vote. Anybody who is credible, the people of Matabeleland, and view that person with his institution that is credible to remove ZANU, they will support that person. That doesn't mean that they like us.
So are you confident that those seats will be retained?
Absolutely.
What is the process that will choose those? How will you nominate the candidates?
Okay, it's simple. The process yokubereka mwana, which is an ancient process that took us to the Stone Age with its defects, commission and omissions, we agreed at the end of it all to produce the candidates. But guess what? It produced candidates that were removed by the people that were around the president. I'll give you an example. In Bulawayo East, Bulawayo South rather, there were 3 candidates vying for that position. There was Engineer Mangwendeza, there was Waston, the current recalled MP, and there was Sithole, who was the interim chairperson, Bulawayo province. Engineer Mangwendeza came first with huge margin. Interim chairperson James Sithole came second, and Waston, the white woman, for that matter, came distant third. How then do you justify that Waston, a white woman in Matabeleland, gets the nod to represent a highly dominated black community?
We should be asking you, because you are the interim SG, why did you allow this to fly? Why did you allow it to happen? You were part of the structures. How did you allow it to happen?
This is why I'm saying these criminals around the president, we are targeting them. They have put this party in jeopardy. They have put us in this predicament that we find ourselves in. They have misled the president. They thought that whatever they say, whatever the president brings because he trusts them, is correct. But they manipulated the results that came out from the communities. And we are saying...
you didn't say anything at that stage?
We said it. We said it. But we tried everything we can do. We can possibly do under those circumstances. But we failed. And then we cannot fail. Even now. History is going to judge us harshly. We have got to correct these things because there's nothing to lose. We have lost the presidential vote, which was the state power. Now, the parliament, what is it there in parliament? We have had these parliamentarians since 2000, but my life hasn't changed. Life yambuya gucholocho kutotito aina kuchinja because kwakuna MP, aina kuchinja because kwakuna councillor.
Similarly, people could say that the life has not changed because the ruling party the governing party has not delivered the change.
Exactly.
So why are you pinning it on your MPs and not...
We need to correct this so that we prepare for the election in 2028. We need time to prepare. An election should not be an event. It should be a process.
Mr. Chabangu, is it coincidental that some of the terms that you've just used now sound very familiar and are associated with, you've just spoken about criminals around the president. You've spoken of, this is terminology that we have heard before. Is it purely coincidental that these are the terms and the manner in which we speak?
Well, we live in Zimbabwe, where it doesn't matter whether you are in a different political party, but we will share the same roads, we will share the same infrastructure, we will share the same food, we will share the same environment. So we will share equally, so we will share the same words. The narratives may be the same, but coming from a different corners of different centers of authority.
Listener contributions. Please ask Chabangu how Joshua Sako is an MP for ZANU-PF in a community highly dominated by black people. Are there no white MPs for ZANU-PF like Sako and Haritatos where the black people population predominate? I think people just speaking to the argument that, just because the candidate is white, I think, if they meet the criteria, are they Zimbabwean? Are they a registered voter? Surely that should be the only criteria.
Where else?
And that predominantly black community that you spoke about would they have voted for someone who does not resonate with their aspirations?
Let me tell you about the people of Matabeleland. I was born and bred there. They don't care who leads them.
So let these people lead.
They don't care.
So why don't you let?
They don't
why do
care.
Why not leave those ones who are there to lead?
No. Because
if they don't care, leave those ones who are there to lead.
No, we need to correct the systems. You can't impose candidates on people and ride on their popularity.
But the people don't care. You've just said that those people don't care who leads them.
Exactly.
So what is wrong with those who are there?
No, there was no time for them to reject the candidate.
But as you say, if we go, if whoever you put now will still be voted for, because as you said, it's a protest vote. So why should it matter?
This is going to change the narrative that people from other regions should not abuse the protest vote of Matabeleland. They should respect the people of Matabeleland to lead themselves, in as much as Manicaland should lead themselves, Maswingo should lead themselves, Harare should lead themselves. This is the nature. This message it goes beyond the CCC. It goes beyond the opposition politics. It confronts even ZANU-PF. It confronts even ZANU-PF that you cannot impose people on communities. Allow if the devolution concept it must really transit down to the communities. In whatever sphere, in whatever form.
If, again, the question that I asked is, if those communities feel that Chabangu does not represent my interests, Chabangu is not from this area, we don't know him, he has been imposed on us, surely they will reject Chabangu. But if they vote for him, what's the problem? It clearly means that is the person they want. And why not let their will prevail?
No.
If we do not know him, he's not from here, he's not one of us, we would not have voted for him.
Look, my brother, I don't think we can continue on the narrative that even our forefathers fought for this country. If that was the idea, then we should have really allowed the whites to continue dominating, continue with their segregation matrix. So I don't think so. The reason why we went to war, our forefathers went to war to liberate this country is the same reason. It doesn't mean that the wrongs that we do them after independence cannot be justifiable, but the wrongs that were done before independence are justifiable. So in the same vein, in the same reasons that Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe refused to be the puppets of the imperialist, we also refused to be dominated by other people who will impose the candidates in the regions.
Okay, let me, a couple of more questions I want to take before we wrap up this question. Well, let me read the listener contributions because I think, as I said, the program belongs to them. Fine, we've heard about the Matabeleland candidates. Why was the Mabvuku MP recalled? This is from a listener who is asking.
Well, I think that one, the leadership is working on it. We have had the consent, so I'm sure we will look into it, and we're still working on it, correcting that mistake that was done by the leadership. So yes, the Mavugu MP, we assist with the matter. So we have also approached the candidate, and he is aware that there was that kind of a mistake which was done. So we will do the best we can.
So once again, when you say leadership, it's referring to some of those individuals that you named earlier, including the party president?
Absolutely.
So and this implies that you are in communication, you are harmonious, you are talking about these things, you are deliberating about these things.
Absolutely. We are. These are the differences that are there in the party, and like any other family setup, kids can really fight each other, and at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that they don't belong in that house or in that setup. So we are correcting these mistakes, and we are talking. But we are raising these things. There are people who feel that maybe we should have done it better. So we are actually revisiting and discussing. There are bishops, I think, who have been trying to interact and bring the fours together. So those initiatives are underway. So I hope we will find a solution.
I have heard, and I stand to be corrected, that the leaders, some of the leadership that you've just mentioned, have resolved that they will not participate, they will not be fielding candidates in this by-election, in these by-elections that have been proclaimed. Is that something that, again, was was there consensus around this? Was this a collective action? Because, as you said, you are deliberating, you are in talks, and is this a decision that you have arrived at as leaders, as the leadership?
Not at all. I think those are the pronouncements made by certain individuals or leaders trying to advance their interest. You can't create a vacuum in any political space. So in the same vein, to prove you that those leaders who claim that they are not going to be involved and participate in these elections, they have submitted signatories to the ZEC, so we have got that proof. So it means they are preparing behind the scenes to field candidates.
So I'd asked earlier, what is the process that will determine who stands? For example, I'll give you the example you spoke about, where you talked about the third placed. I think there was a process. The third placed, a distant third, was then the candidate that was imposed.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a rerun of, or will you just simply then say, this was the person who was originally number one, they will be the candidate? How are you going to select the candidates that participate in this by-elections?
Absolutely, the latter will do that. We will say who was the first. For Bulawayo South, for example, we'll approach Engineer Mangwendeza. He was the favorite, he was the people's choice. But he was denied the right to represent the constituency. If he's comfortable, then we'll make him a candidate. If he doesn't feel that he has got energy to carry on with politics because of his profession, then we'll seek for the second best in that order.
A couple of more contributions that I'd love to hear your response on. There's a listener who's getting in touch and saying the references you are making to, suggesting that a white member of parliament cannot represent a predominantly black community. Again, is that not tantamount to racism or discrimination?
Not at all. Not at all. Look, you need to understand the communities that I'm talking about. Bulawayo South, it's a constituency after delimitation. You are talking about Makokova. That's the oldest community in Bulawayo, which has got old people, Nerera, for that matter. And then it also comprises of the community aliens from Malawi, which is part of Sizinda. And so it doesn't really suit well, it doesn't really suit well. I think we need to be sensitive to the communities, to the culture of those communities. What is that person going to do? How is she going to relate to this community?
Unfortunately, we'll never know that, because before she could even do that work, she was recalled.
Exactly.
What if she was going to be effective?
No.
How do we know?
No. That's a kingdom of Bulawayo.
Uh-huh.
The kingdom of Bulawayo needs. You need to identify Bulawayo with its own originated people. You should not be mistaken if you are going to Bulawayo and bring up the list of the representatives of Bulawayo. Who is the councillor of Bulawayo? Who is the councillor of this what? It should tell you by merely looking at the names. Then you are comfortable.
There is a listener who was getting in touch, and I would like you to verify this. He says that Nicola won that election by beating Raj Modi, the previous incumbent. Did Honorable Raj Modi represent the aspirations of Makokoba and these people that you've spoken about?
There's a colored community. There's a component of colored community in that constituency. And I'm not being racist or maybe unraveling these sentiments, but I think as a party or as citizens, as political parties, we need to be sensitive to those things.
We're almost out of time. I want to read two more messages, and I'll allow you to respond to these ones as we now move on, saying that I just want to look for this message where he says, Mr. Chabangu, you have a sinister motive. You are fighting 2018 issues. You have MDC Alliance hallucinations. You will go down in history as a danger to opposition politics. Another listener here got in touch and was saying, you are playing from the... that guy is taking notes from Mr. Monzora, and what he is doing will not work. Please ask Mr. Monzora what became of him. As we wrap up, my final question to you would be, if the CCC does not win those seats or loses some of those seats, what will you say?
Well, it's a game of an election. We've lost in Manicaland, we lost in Mashonaland, we lost in Maswingo. What would be the difference?
Will you have betrayed the people of those constituencies?
Not at all. It's a game of numbers. It's a game
because you had already won, but you undid if you lose, you will have undone the victory.
Look, there are constituencies that we won in 2018, and we lost them in 2023. So what difference is it there if we are going to lose the by-elections to ZANU-PF or to independence?
The difference is you had actually won and had 5 years to serve, but you cut short the...
But why should I be negative? If I can't...
It's a hypothetical situation for now.
But no, look, I'm positive. We are going to win those constituencies.
Final question. Do you stand by the president of your party?
He remains the president, regardless of whatever he says, even if he climbs on top of the mountain and say he doesn't know me. But he cannot run away from his shadow. That's one thing for sure. He is misleading the world. But look, I know that people who hold the Bible, even if you've got a problem, you go to church, you visit the pastor, they don't misdirect themselves. They don't lie. Bishops are people that even if there's ceasefire, even if there's war, they will come in and absolutely try to bring the sanity. They don't lie. Mm-hmm. So I expect the President Chamisa, if he sincerely believes that he is a pastor, he should revisit his statement. I don't want to attack him on this platform, but I think the history, my relationship with him is in the public domain. He cannot mislead the public, the nation, the international community.
Earlier you did say that the leadership, you referred to leadership as a collective. You mentioned names of people who are in that leadership, including your party president, Nelson Chamisa, and that you are in consensus, these things, you are doing them together in unison, in concert as you do these things. So do you ever talk about these differences? Have you confronted him when you meet and consult that? Why are you lying to the people?
Absolutely. I don't know what is the motive.
So you talk to him?
Yeah, I talk to him.
You're in communication with him?
But there's a conversation with him on my phone. I will produce these V11s and people will be surprised. President Chamisa, we date long back. When he was the chairperson of the MDC Youth Assembly, I was in that executive.
Okay.
Yeah. So he cannot claim that he doesn't know me. For heaven's sake,
But
he should try something else.
So
this is the reason.
My question, which is what I wanted clarity on.
Yeah.
You are saying he claims he does not know you.
Yeah.
But you have also just said that you are in touch with him.
I'm in touch with him.
So
he indicates...
Why didn't you ask him, since you said you've got conversation, to say, look,
I don't,
why are you disowning me?
I don't know. I don't know his motive. What he wants to achieve by saying those things that he can't substantiate and prove beyond any reasonable doubt. This is why I told you a very, very, very critical point. Mm-hmm. He hasn't challenged me in court. I was challenged by members of parliament. The CCC as a party hasn't challenged me because I'm the party. He is the party. He represents the party. He's the official bearer of the party. So why didn't he challenge me?
Mr. Chabangu, we are out of time, but earlier you said that some of the questions you could not answer here. You said you could not because they are before the courts. There were some names I wanted you to mention, officers that I wanted you to mention that you couldn't because there was a court process. So
yes.
Just for the information of our listeners, and I understand something is happening tomorrow. What is under debate or challenge in the courts, and what is due to happen tomorrow?
The voiceless are on trial tomorrow. Those who are victims of dictatorship are on trial tomorrow. Those who believe that constitutionalism is not the order of the day are being tried tomorrow. So I represent those people. I am bringing ideas, and even if you challenge an idea, you are not going to bury the idea. The idea tomorrow is going to live. So the issues that are being challenged are the issues that I have raised. I am being challenged as a person. My office that I represent is being challenged. But before we close, this is very important. Job Sikhala, I want to make it this clear before I leave this platform. He is in prison because of these criminals around the president. They have thrown Job Sikhala under the bus because they believe that Job is a threat to President Nelson Chamisa. So he belongs where he is. But my administration, President Chamisa has refused to negotiate his release.
So I want to ask you, I want you to come back, hold that point of he has refused. When you say that these criminals around the president have thrown Sikhala under the bus, are they the ones every week or regularly? There are bail applications that are being made. Are you saying that those are being denied by judges? So how can you say who is throwing who under the bus? It's the judges that are denying those bail applications.
Job Sikhala is a political prisoner. He requires a political solution. Tendai PD in 2008, he was charged of treason. He was negotiated. His release was negotiated because we said he's a political prisoner.
So why aren't you negotiating? You are the SG. Why haven't you negotiated?
I have done that. I'm doing it.
You are negotiating?
Yeah, I'm negotiating.
With who?
With the state. I'm negotiating
for Sikhala's
release. I'll be sending delegation to meet the state authorities. That Job is not supposed to be where he is because he was thrown under the bus by our movement. And this is sad that our movement, they can go and visit Job Sikhala and cry and yawn for his release, yet they know behind the back. I'm saying because I'm inside MDs, I'm inside CCC.
Have you visited Job Sikhala? We've not seen you in the courtroom.
I'll be seeing him very soon.
And as you said, you are you are in talks or negotiating for his release.
Yes.
Talks with who?
I'll be meeting Ziambi, the Minister of Justice. I'll also be meeting in the near future Opet Mbofu, the Secretary General of ZANU-PF. These are the people that I've sent emissaries to meet them. It's underway.
Those offices that you've mentioned you are going to meet imply or would imply that the minister and the chairman of the secretary, the ruling party member have influence on court processes. What will they do? What are they going to do?
No. A political prisoner is different from a criminal.
So what are they going to do?
We are going to negotiate. I have written to SADC. In the last, I'll give you the letter, the communication that I've written to SADC, that I've informed them that we are engaging ZANU-PF for the release of Job Sikhala. So we will be sending a delegation to SADC. In the summit, they will be talking about Job Sikhala's release. So we are negotiating for Job Sikhala's release. We have tried legally. We have failed.
You have tried the legal route of a judicial system that you said you have no problems with.
Absolutely.
It is not captured. The judiciary is not captured.
He has got no case to answer in the judiciary system because he is the reason why he's there is a political prisoner.
So why doesn't the judiciary system release
Nelson
him?
Mandela spent 27 years. It doesn't mean that Oliver Tambo didn't try the judiciary system. He tried it. But he was released through negotiations.
Okay. We are certainly out of time now. We must do justice to the next program, but we hope to have you back. You said tomorrow you'll be in court. Hopefully we'll have an update on that. As you said, you are sending emissaries and negotiating on the Job Sikhala issue. Thank you so much, Mr. Chabangu. I think it's been a very informative discussion, very engaging, just judging by the reactions that we have had. So we thank you so much for coming to ZiFM. We know that you are not speaking to many media houses, so we really do thank you for coming through and hope to hear from you again.
My pleasure, but those were really hard, tough questions. I appreciate it.
Indeed, and as I said, these are questions from the listeners, and we do owe them that you speak to them. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you to all our listeners who tuned in and those who participated. My guest was Sengezo Tshabangu, Interim Secretary General of the CCC. Up next is the Y Zone, and the topic for discussion today is Education 5.0. So keep it here on ZiFM Stereo, my station.